Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to share with you the number one piece of advice that I have ever received, and hopefully it can impact you too. Hey Changemakers, Jay here. So excited that you are tuning in, whether you're watching this on JayWongTV or you're listening to this on the Inner Changemaker podcast. I'm grateful for you. I appreciate your time. And I wanted to share with you the number one piece of advice I've ever received. And this was a few years back. And to give some proper context to this, some of you might be familiar with my story, but for those of you that are not, I had gone through a quarter life crisis at that time. I was about 24, 25, and I sold all my furniture, moved out of my my place downtown Toronto. I was sharing this really great space with one of my best friends, Sean, and I had moved out. I had moved all the way to Shanghai, China. I was there for about 14 months. I learned Mandarin. I met my now current girlfriend there as well. I went on all these insane adventures. That's a different story for a different time. But when I came back, I had a kind of like a lunch or like an outing, how you like meet up with friends for like a drink or kind of catching up over a juice or a coffee. Well, I had one of these with an ex-coworker of mine. And during that time, some of our old coworkers actually went to the same place, and we kind of sat together unofficially. It wasn't like, oh, let's all plan to be here, but we were all there unofficially. And they were like, Jay, it's so exciting to see you. We haven't seen you in like 18 months or something. What is it that you're going to do now? And at that time, I was just really starting out. I mean, I don't even know if I can call that starting out, because I had just an idea of what it is that I wanted to do. I was just in the beginning phases of starting to share my message with the world and starting to create content on a consistent basis. And I didn't know what that picture looked like. I didn't have a podcast at that time. I didn't know how to get, any paid speaking engagements. I didn't know anything from the online marketing side. Email list, opt-in form, email segment. I didn't know any of that stuff, And I didn't know really where to begin, but I had this idea. I had this inkling of, I want to share this message. I want to be able to impact the people that I come across and that listen to me, and that, not just listen to me, but for my own ego, but hopefully the content that we're sharing with them impacts them in a positive way, whether it's their business, whether it's their mindset. So that was the premise, right? And that was, when people were asking me, I'm not one to really shy away from the answer. I didn't just say, oh, everything's great, I'm doing, all these things. The truth was, I didn't know what I was doing. And I just had this kind of a vision, right? Have you ever been there before where you kind of have an idea of what you're doing? You kind of have a sense that you're moving in the right direction. And so I just said, you know what, I'm just going to share it with them. I shared with them my hopes and dreams of one day, being able to have a bigger reach, whether it's through my content or through communication or through speaking, whatever it is, to have the impact that I truly want to have. And I look back on some of my mentors and people we've had on this interview show and people we've featured on this channel and this podcast, and I look at the way they've been able to impact me, right, with their message and their books and their courses and their content. And I said, I want to do the same thing. I want to be able to impact these people in the same way and have these people not just look up to me from an ego perspective, though, if I had to be honest, going back, it's probably a little more ego back then, right? Just having that level of impact whenever you met people live and they could come up to you and they said, hey, I read your book, or I did this, or I took your advice, and I've been able to now go and crush this side of my business, or, I've been able to have this breakthrough in my mindset. That's what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how to communicate that, right? And as I was sitting there, I was painting this vision for them. They were kind of quiet, right? These are my ex-coworkers, right? So I left what they were doing, to go and kind of pursue my own thing, and I couldn't even describe to them my own thing. So why am I telling you all this? Is because the context is ever so important. right? Because what happened next is one of those moments that stayed with me, and I want to share that with you. So I shared with them my whole vision. Have you ever been at the situation where everybody's around the table, everyone's like drinking, but like no one really is saying anything, right? You know what I'm talking about? Where it's like awkward because no one wants to be like the first person to say something. And so, someone said, oh, that's really great. Like, we're happy for you, right? And, another offhand comment like that. And then one of these ladies, it was a lady, she pulled me aside. She said, Jay, I listened to you share about your vision for the future. I listened to you talk about your hopes, your dreams, and what you one day want to accomplish. And she said, my only wish is that you would own it more. Is that you would own it more. And there was just the silence across the table. And my first thought was, who are you, right, to tell me about how to own my dreams and how to hope? You don't even know who I am, right? And that was my first thought. But my second thought was, maybe she's right. Maybe I could own it more, right? Maybe I could step into that in greater depths, right? Maybe I could just say, one day I'm going to do this and stop, and not say maybe, not say if this allows me to, just stop when you declare your goal, And it helped me a lot, especially when I was starting out. After that moment, I just said, I'm going to commit everything to this. I'm going to figure each piece of this business out, which is not necessary. If you listen to the interview of Cameron Harold, it's a really great mindset to get you started from like 0 to 6 figures. Not a great mindset for when you have a bit of momentum, right? And you're trying to build out teams and systems. Not the best mindset when you want to figure out each and every single part of your business. But if you have nothing, if you're watching this and you're like, I don't know how to get started, this is for you, right? This is for everybody that's like, I'm stuck at that beginning phase. You have to commit your whole being to the thing, whatever it is, whatever it requires you to learn, to be around others, to make whatever investments that you can and should make. I'm not saying do it all, but whatever you need to do to be in that frame of mind to go for it. That's what I did the first 2 years. I just went for it. I owned it, right? And I think it's so important for people to own their identity, to own stepping into that. I was recently on a call, kind of a group coaching call that I wasn't running, and I was sharing about some of the things that I'm struggling with from a business standpoint. And some of the things that I'm struggling with in terms of being consistent, creating the content for some of you, right? And some of you have been so accustomed to watching me, do these amazing interviews. And I mean, the caliber of people we've had on has been absolutely mind-blowing. But I've also really struggled with the consistency of creating content without the best kind of team, right? And yes, I want to go for it. I want a 10X, but I know that if I commit to the 10X vision, then if I don't have the team and the messaging and the right people there, it's not going to be, I'll burn out, right? And I don't want to do that. And that's why it's creating these inconsistencies within my content. And someone in the group, I didn't know her at the time, her name's Crystal, and I didn't know her last name, her camera wasn't working, so we didn't see who she was. And she said, Jay, this is my first time I don't know who you are. First time I looked at your page. And she said, I'm really vibing with some of the things that you're saying, but I can tell from looking at your content that you're holding back. And I was like, wow, and it reminded me instantly that moment, 2.5 years ago when I was sitting at the restaurant, when I didn't have anything. I didn't have a podcast. I didn't know how to upload any content. I didn't know how to do a webinar. I didn't know how to do Facebook. I didn't know anything. And it reminded me of that moment of choosing what I wanted my message to be about, choosing the person I was going to be, and then going all in on that, right? And it reminded me of the second you hesitate sometimes in life, if you can't make a decisive decision, right? You can't have that decisive confidence around you. You're stuck in this limbo. You force yourself in limbo, right? Because you're not really this person, but then you're not really this person either. So you're Mondays and Tuesdays, you're this person. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, maybe you're not, right? And then maybe you're someone over the weekend, right? this causes inconsistencies in not just your content or your business, but it causes inconsistencies with yourself, right? And so the advice is this. I'll wrap up here because I know I tend to just go on and on. But the advice that I got was that you have to own your vision. You have to own who you are. You have to have that level of clarity, that decisive confidence when it comes to brand, when it comes to messaging, when it comes to who you want to help. You can't all of a sudden, you can't help landscapers and celebrities. I'm not saying that you can't, like, I'm sure in theory, both those people could be helped by you, but you have to pick one. You have to pick one. And especially as you grow, like as your brand grows, as you grow and as an entrepreneur, you're gonna have to be forced to go all in on certain things. And if you do, it's the scariest thing as entrepreneurs and creators, because for us, when we eliminate those things, we always think like we can do those things, right? Like that's the problem, is that you think you're so good. It's a bit of an entitlement issue. I know it. I'm sharing it with you because I have it. So you think you're so good that you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to serve so-and-so, this person would get benefits, this person would get benefits, this person would get benefits. But here's the thing that you're missing is that when you're trying to serve everybody, it also means that you can't really serve anyone to the best degrees, right? 22 immutable laws of marketing, right? It talks about if you don't stand for something, it means that you stand for nothing, right? If you don't stand for something, it means that you stand for nothing. Right? And so by standing for something, by declaring this is who I serve, these are the people I can make a difference for, this is one medium that I'm going to go all in on. This is the message that we're going to go all in on to say that. You know what I mean? That makes a difference. When people see that, when people hear that, they go, wow, like this is the person I want to work with. You know what I mean? This is the person I want to consume from. And maybe they never buy anything from you. Maybe you're not part of their target market, right? But just by having that decisive confidence, your life is going to be so much better. You know, I don't know about you, but my life is better every single time I make an empowering decision. An empowering decision. What does that mean? An empowering decision means it's a hell yes, right? Excuse the language, but it is I'm there, I'm committed, it doesn't matter. We talked about this in a previous episode, right? It doesn't matter, rain or shine, I will find a way. I am committed to this vision, I'm committed to this message. That is what it will take for you to make it. And that is the truth. And I was reminded of that the other day with my new friend Crystal. And I was reminded of that a couple years ago, to own it, to step into it. So this might not be a pretty process, but I promise you, if you stick with me throughout this little content process, that we will get there. We're going to be hyper committed to the people we serve, the change makers that watch this, the people that want to become the best versions of themselves so that they can impact those closest to them, those people that care about impact and legacy, and they want to go there, and they might not know where to start, and they might not have the perfect message or be great at marketing or have a podcast or YouTube, whatever it is, like they might not have those pieces there today. But I promise you, I just got reminded of that, and I wanted to remind you of that when we step in to that identity, when we start owning our message, a lot of amazing things start happening. All of a sudden, all the decisions that you held on to, they kind of make themselves, they kind of solve everything for themselves. So that's something I would encourage you to think about, whether it's the weekend or the week, whenever you're consuming this. Are you stepping in and owning your message? Are you owning your vision? Are you owning and becoming relevant and omnipresent with your avatar, with the person that you're trying to make a difference for? If you're watching this on YouTube, please let us know if this resonates with you. Let us know in the comments section below. If you're a hell yes, right? Write hell yes in there. If you're a hell no, if you're somewhere in the middle, just write hell no. That's all good too. We can have that discussion. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Love to know what your comments are. If you have an opinion, let me know in the comment section. The YouTube channel is something I definitely want to make this kind of go into that next level. And for that to happen, I need to not hesitate with the content. I need to not hesitate with who we're chatting with, who we're creating and making a difference for. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I appreciate you. I'm so immensely grateful for you. At wherever you're listening to this on, hopefully you can leave us a review if you found this helpful, found this valuable. If there's anybody in your life that maybe they need to hear this message, right? Maybe they were where I was a few days ago and they need to step into their own message. They need to step into their own identity and they need to start owning it. Hopefully you can share that with them and we can make a difference that way. So I have so much love for each and every single one of you. I appreciate you so much. Remember, the whole point of this is not so you can just go out and set out to change the world. That's not actually what we're aiming to do. We're aiming to become the best versions of ourselves so that we can step into that role of leadership. We could be the best version of ourselves. So in the moments in life that actually matter, for those around us that matter. And I really encourage you to be able to do that. Check out the last interview that we did with Cameron Harold. That was a really great one. And I can't wait to see you in the next episode. All right, talk soon.